Okay, so once we've written our pseudocode, we need to get it to work. And this technique is called troubleshooting. So there's two strategies I want you to take. One is to add lines one by one. So if you get an error, you solve it before you move on, and you know where the error is coming from. And secondly, that you can add some output lines that will debug some of the contents of your program and tell you if it's working correctly. Okay, so we're using the tutorialspoint.com online VB. Okay, and we have some code here, some pseudocode sent by a student. So we take the first line, dim calculation as string. Put that one in. Tab, oops, tab, paste, dim calculation as string. Now, I see I've got 0 errors, but I've got a warning. And I think the warning is this one, function without as clause. And to tell you the truth, I don't know. I've been looking into that, and I don't know why this online VB has that issue. If you dim the variable here, which would be a global variable, which I don't want to use, you don't get an error. Sorry, you don't get a warning. So that would be 0 errors. It hasn't even told us there was an error. So that would be one way of doing it, but I really don't want you to be doing that. So we're just going to grin and bear the warnings. All right. Now, this line, dim operator as not sure, well, that's going to throw an error. So we need to fix that before we move on. And the operator is going to be a times or a divide by. We're trying to make a calculator here. And so it's going to be a char. Right? Now we've got operator. So that would have caused issues. So it's operator, and we run it. Okay, so we've got an error and a warning. Now the warning is the first line, the error is expected identifier. So it's not accepting operator as an identifier. And I think operator is a kind of, it might be a keyword in VB, something like dim or something like that. So let's put my operator. And there we go, I've got 0 errors, and we've got another warning from this as statement here, okay? So we know these dims are going to throw warnings, but we've got 0 errors. That's the important thing. Okay, next line. Well, I'm going to break the rules immediately. Because these lines are identical, so I think I can handle these on their own. But very careful about breaking the rules. So let's run that. 2 errors, doesn't like that. Int is not declared. So it doesn't like int. Maybe it's integer. Change color. Though I must say, I don't know why string hasn't gone white. Char has gone white. Integer has gone white. I guess it should be like that as well. Okay, 0 errors, 4 warnings. Okay, but we're going fine now. All right, here's the next line. The console, it's console right. That's interesting. Probably better with console right line. Let's put console right line. Notice it's spilled onto the other lines. Let's just double check that that's, yeah, okay, so that's moving around. So it's copied, it seems to be copied and pasted, okay. So we'd expect to see that working now. Will it print out the line? Yeah, please enter a calculation, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're good. Next line. The calculation is the console read line. Okay. Now that should be fairly straightforward. Let's take it. Let's not break rules this time. Okay. 0 errors. Interesting, only 3 warnings now on line 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8. So it doesn't mind that for some reason. Is it because of the calculation? It's going to be a capitalization? Not sure. Anyway, we'll move on. Calculation. Maybe the warning is because I think I've got it now. If you dim something but don't use it, it doesn't like it. All right, and that's why it's warning. And we've lost the warning on line 5 because we've started to use calculation. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, we've learned something then. Okay, And the next line then is num1 is the first char calculation. Okay, one error. Oh, it can't convert that. So it's received the string and it's taken the first part of the string, first letter of the string, which is a char, and it says it can't convert it to a number. I wonder what happens if we try and convert it like that using int. Then we need a debug line. So this is the first time we're using a debug line. We're just simply going to do console write line, and we're going to print out num1. Okay. So write line, can't spell right line, writ line. There we go. Okay. So 0 errors, 2 warnings. Please enter a calculation, and it's written out 55. Now that's slightly annoying. If you look at the ASCII codes for ASCII code 55 is the number 7. There's something I've forgotten to include this time. I have got a in the standard input line, I put a sum in there, the 7 times 3. That's how it's done on the online system. All right, so that the 7 gets pulled and its ASCII code is 55. So we've got an ASCII code 55 in num1. Now I wanted to convert that using the char function, but for some reason that doesn't work here. And I really don't know why. I've spent some time looking into that. You get an error. It says char values cannot be converted to integer. And it says use, can I get in the bottom there? Oops. Use ASCII W, that didn't work for me. Use val, that didn't work for me. But I managed to find a way around this. I wouldn't expect a student to do this, really. Maybe they could. But I'm minusing 48, and that converts from ASCII to the integer itself, all right? So a 0 has got an ASCII code of 48, so if you minus 48, you get 0. 1 has got an ASCII code of 49, minus 48, you get 1, okay? So, I mean, that's not really intuitive, so I'm going to put a comment in there. Minus 48 to convert to ASCII, okay. And now, hopefully, I will output my 7. There's the 7, okay? And just to check that the 3, so the 7 is the 0, that's 1, 2, 3, 4th. The 4th character is the 3. So to pull the 4th character, I'm going to, put in the 4 here. And I should get the 3 out here, which I did. Okay, so that should be enough for you to finish off that code here, the pseudocode. I would say one thing is that line doesn't need to appear in every if statement. You could remove that once, twice, 3, 4, and just put the output at the end to try and get that code working. But that's how you debug your